My father is an autocrat. I fell for his words for almost 30 years, even at times when I could feel in my gut something was off. Even when I could see proof to the contrary. I believed him because he had authority over me. Finally waking up to reality was a bitter shit show. At a personal level, I felt betrayed that he pretended to be something he was not. At the societal level, it turns out all autocrats put on a show and pretend to be somebody else. Nobody has the answers to life's hardest questions, and we all have to figure it out on our own. Nobody's coming to save us. We'll just have to save ourselves or relinquish power to someone who poses as a savior. And since we're hardwired since childhood to respect and abide by authority figures, our caregivers, it's only natural that we fall for autocratic leaders later in life as well. After all, we've been programmed to believe they have our best interests at heart. As it turns out, they don't. They usually have their own, and they will use people and systems as pawns in their quest for domination. When this is happening at a global scale and the wanted outcome is world domination, there's cause for concern. So here's the data. A report put out by the Variety of Democracies Institute, the VDEM, at the University of Gothenburg, shows that 72% of the world's population, around 5.7 billion people, live under authoritarian rule. This was in 2023. But the decline continued in 2024. The overall Global Democracy Index score has fallen from 5.52 in 2006 to a historic low of 5.17 in 2024, when 130 countries of the total 167 covered by the index either registered a decline in their score or made no improvement. More than one-third, 39.2% of the world population, live under authoritarian rule. 60 countries are now classified as authoritarian regimes. As I said, cause for concern, and it's not getting any better. Young people are hell-bent on autocracy, and they are the ones who will shape our future. A new landmark study by Channel 4 named Gen Z Trends, Truths and Trust reveals that more than half of people aged between 13 and 27 would prefer the UK to be an authoritarian dictatorship. A diverse generation facing rapid cultural and technological change in a hyper-connected world. One where misinformation runs rampant and trust hangs in the balance, wants to be constrained by the rigors of the authoritarian regime. To those of us who see the threats of such an endeavor, and some of us who have also lived through authoritarian regimes, this need seems insane. But is it? Here's the history. Some of us know what a dictatorship can do, but young people don't. They haven't been there queuing for 3 hours to buy a bottle of milk for their child. They haven't been forced to live through the winter in heatless apartments. They haven't been deported or killed for their beliefs. They're looking at the authoritarian figure and only hear the propaganda and sweet words of a tough leader who will bring the country back to its glory days or pull it out of the misery that it's been thrown into by other supposedly weaker, ineffectual leaders. And they believe these empty promises. Nobody's coming to save us. We'll just have to save ourselves or relinquish power to someone who poses as a savior. Authoritarian figures are usually very charismatic. They'd have to be able to sell such baloney to the public. They're also saying all the right words for all the right years. Plus, let's not forget the illegal and unconstitutional power grabs. But those are a whole different story. Most dictatorships happen not by force, at least not in the first stages, but through manipulation of the masses. People voted for Hitler, they voted for Putin, they voted for Trump. They voted for them because they believed these strong men would make their country great again, a slogan all three of them used to charm their voters. Here's the psychology. Some of us realize it's all a clever lie, but some of us don't. And even when we do, the attraction is there, and that's the biggest problem. It's not within the dictator, but within ourselves. Instead of trusting ourselves and our ability to handle our own lives and solve our own problems, we're waiting for a savior. And as psychologists know very well, a pretend savior can easily turn into an abuser who also pretends to be the actual victim. This is known as the Karpman drama triangle, a concept coined in the 60s, but just as relevant today. It's a dynamic model of social interaction and conflict resolution where a person caught in some sort of unhealthy dynamic will fall into one of the following roles: either persecutor, rescuer, or victim. But narcissists and sociopaths can hop from one to the other according to their needs. Look at Donald Trump, for example. He is a wonderful example of this triangle put into action. He promises his voters he would make America great again, posing as the rescuer. And now he's destroying America's democracy as a persecutor would, while at the same time constantly complaining about how other countries are unfair to the US, or how every journalist who doesn't agree with him is spreading fake news and is out to get him, posing as the victim. For people who don't usually get involved in a lot of drama, this attitude is a red flag, as are fake promises. But even so, most of us still put our trust in a strong, determined leader rather than one perceived as weak. Plus, let's not forget about prestige bias. The prestige bias is the tendency to trust and selectively copy cultural traits, like behaviors and beliefs, possessed by individuals who are highly respected and admired. People are strongly influenced by someone who has demonstrated the ability to succeed in various fields of his life, leading people, making money, running businesses, conquering women, and spreading his seed. Again, Trump and Musk come to mind. How could they not? We aren't wondering how these men reached that success. We're just happy to clap for it, admire it, vote for it. That's how we come to find ourselves in situations where the strong figure we voted for has turned into a full-blown dictator, and once that happens, it's not so easy to get rid of him. Just like at an individual level, it's not so easy to get out of an abusive relationship. But here's the resolution. In conclusion, yes, we are hardwired, or rather conditioned, by evolutionary factors and upbringing to fall for autocrats again and again and again. It must have something to do with the deep-seated mommy and daddy issues that run within us all, plus our evolutionary programming to group together under a resolute, aggressive leader to hunt down a mammoth or something. But that doesn't mean we're doomed. We can rewire ourselves and reinstall our software. We only need self-awareness and a little bit of knowledge. It also doesn't mean we're constantly threatened by the rule of some evil king looking to put us in our place. Although autocracy is on the rise at a global level, hardcore, all-in totalitarianism is rare. Those obsessed with power have figured out it's easier to manipulate the masses than force them into submission. But at the end of the day, just like most abusive relationships and most dictatorships eventually fail. So the best thing for us to do now is to wait and hope and act. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.